welcome to my YouTube channel. I wanted to tell you all about my Lipedema surgery, which was a surgery that I had on my legs last year. I went to Tampa in Florida to get this surgery, and it's something I wanted I'd say half of my life. I've been wanting this particular surgery. I'm going to tell you all about it, how it went, what I think of the final results, and I hope you find it interesting. I hope you enjoy. So this surgery is something that I wanted for such a long time. I didn't think I would ever be able to get it because this particular surgeon, he's the only person in the world that does this technique, and it's a lot of money. When I first discovered him, I think I was about, say, 20 years old, maybe a little bit older. I forget how old I am now. So it was a lot of money. Back then I had no money. I was broke. I just put it down to something that I probably never have. That was okay. But it was always in the back of my mind, always. Since having this surgery, my life has changed. It's changed the way I walk. It's changed the way I choose what I'm gonna wear, the way I buy clothes, the way I look at myself. It's really improved my life, and I'm so glad I did it. So before I talk more about the surgery, let me tell you a little bit about lipedema. There's a lot of very informative videos on YouTube about lipedema, so I won't go too much into it, but basically it's a condition usually found in women. Some people think 1 in 10 women suffer with it. Basically it is, so a woman with lipedema would usually have excess fat stored in her lower body and sometimes arms, sometimes both. It usually starts to become obvious around times when hormones are highly active, so puberty, pregnancy, menopause are usually the kind of times that people notice something different. So I noticed something was a little bit different around puberty age, around like 11, 12, and the first thing I noticed was my ankles. I didn't have any definition in my ankles. My legs just went straight down into my foot. A squishy cuff of fat around my ankle. And I didn't like the way it looked at all. I started looking into lipedema probably in my early 20s. I wasn't sure if I had it or not because it wasn't too bad. It was mainly in my ankles. I did have very thick legs. I'm getting off course here because I said I was going to talk about lipedema and now I'm just talking about me. So let's go back to lipedema. I'm not an expert in lipedema. I have done a lot of research, and unfortunately it's something that there's not a lot of research done into it, so nobody knows what causes it, and there's no treatment for it. So the only way to get rid of it is to suck it out with liposuction. It's basically like just stubborn fat that you can't lose by going to the gym and dieting. Even when I was at my skinniest, I still had thick legs. And this is how I know that there was something different, because I've gone through times in my life where I've worked really hard in the gym, really on top of my diet, and I still had those ankle cuffs on the back of my legs. I had what is called banana rolls. I only learned that term a couple of years ago. So here's your butt. Rather than your butt going into your leg and your leg going straight down, you get like your butt and then another butt and then your leg goes down. So yeah, I didn't like the way they looked. I was always I'm talking about me again. Talk about lipedema. It's stubborn fat. You can't get rid of it. No matter how hard you work in the gym, no matter how well you eat, you cannot get that. This top's too short. You can't get that, what is the word? Proportion. You can't get that proportion. I've always been really lucky with my waist. My waist has always been quite slim, naturally. So I always had this little waist and then these big legs, and it just didn't feel right. So yeah, I'm gonna stop trying to talk about lipedema because clearly I just want to talk about myself. If you want to know more about lipedema, there's lots of videos out there. But I was never actually diagnosed with lipedema. Really difficult to get diagnosed with it. Not that I tried, to be honest. I did enough research to know that I'm pretty sure I had it. I've been different sizes throughout my life and consistently had the ankle cuffs and the banana rolls, and nothing was shifting it. So I diagnosed myself. So yeah, that's lipedema, very poorly explained. Sorry about that. So back to me. It really affected me hugely, my confidence. It affected me in a really negative way. I became obsessed with looking at other people's ankles and comparing my ankles with other people's all throughout my teens. Never wear skirts. When I got to about like 20, 22-ish, I decided, fuck it, I'm just gonna wear what I want to wear. But even if I did wear skirts, I'd still wear tights, because the appearance of it wasn't just the size of my legs, but it was the appearance as well. So they were quite spongy and dimply. They just looked like doughy. So I would always have them covered up. It made me feel ashamed of myself. I grew up with a lot of shame. Like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I look like everybody else? And I know there's much worse conditions to have. At least I had legs that worked, and I could walk and I could run, which that also, knowing that, brought a lot of shame as well, because I felt like, why am I so vain that I'm so worried about my legs when at least I have legs? It was just difficult because in the summer when you're going to the beach with your friends, or you go to a festival or a night out and all your friends are wearing little mini skirts or bikinis or whatever, for me it would always just spend the whole time feeling self-conscious. Trying to decide what to wear has always been a nightmare. Shopping for clothes, I would always look at clothes thinking, is that going to make my legs look big? Is that going to show off too much of my legs? Are those trousers even going to fit my legs? This is another thing, because even like, say I was a size like 10, quite often they would be loose around the waist and too tight on my legs. So finding clothes that fit was difficult. Boots that come up to past the calf, because my calves were very big as well. Usually they wouldn't fit. Shoes with ankle straps, no, they wouldn't do up. Ankle bracelets, couldn't ever find an ankle bracelet that was big enough. Having anything around my ankle just kind of highlighted my ankles, so I just did everything I could to cover them up and point people's attention elsewhere, which is difficult because I love shoes. I really love shoes so much. It's weird how much I love shoes. And yeah, not being able to wear the shoes that I wanted to wear, it was hard. Anyway, how else did it affect my life? Just like the shame, like I didn't realise how much shame I had because of it. And shame's evil, shame's horrible, it eats you up. And self-hatred, just because of my legs. It was awkward. It was very awkward. Not many people really said anything about it. No one would say anything, but I think that would be quite a personal and cruel thing for someone to say. But there have been a few people in my life who've been honest with me, which I definitely appreciated. If I would say to someone I don't like my legs, they'd be like, but you've got lovely legs. And that kind of makes you feel a bit invalidated. There are a few people who were honest and said, yeah, you have got, it's like disproportionately bigger legs compared to the rest of you. And I'd be like, thank you, yes, that's what I think too. So I always appreciated when someone was honest with me about it. Nobody's ever commented on my legs without me bringing it up first. Even since I started doing adult content and obviously wearing a lot of lingerie, skimpy outfits, I've never had a comment on any of my videos, any social media, no one. But then I've always been very conscious of, if I'm taking pictures in certain angles that don't highlight my legs. This is another way it's affected me, because you'll probably notice that in a lot of my content I wear stockings. and this is why, to cover up my legs. I do love stockings, but yeah, there's another reason I wear them all the time. When I'm making content, I'd love to just strip off, roll around, but I'm always so worried about how my legs look. Ugh, it's tiresome. It's tiresome. So in 2020, I decided to do something about it. I had surgery, but it wasn't the surgery that I'm about to talk about. I'll tell you briefly about the first surgery I had. So I went to Turkey. I had liposuction in my legs. I had a fat transfer to my butt. I had a BBL. And I told the surgeon about my issue with my legs. Now, I didn't mention lipedema because at the time I hadn't really decided that I had lipedema. I knew of it, but I didn't really consider myself to have it. I just thought it was a genetic thing. He did liposuction from my ankles all the way up to my hips, but the results weren't great. There was a little bit more definition in my ankles, but I still had big ankles. Didn't really change the shape of my legs very much. The BBL was great, I like that. The surgery on my legs was not great and left me with, on the side of my thigh, some weird contours, which then made me even more insecure about my legs. I still had the banana rolls and I had some weird little dips in the side of my thighs that I wasn't comfortable with either, so yeah, that didn't really help. So last year, 2023, I decided I'm going to sort this out because it's doing my head in. I'd gone for a walk one day. It was a really sunny day and I thought, I want to wear shorts. I never wear shorts, ever. But I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to go for a walk in shorts. So I did. As I was walking, I could feel my legs wobbling around. I spent the whole walk just feeling so horrid because I could feel them wobbling and I felt like everyone was looking. I just hated every second of it. And it was when I got home from that walk, I looked into lipedema and I thought, okay, I need to start doing some research on this lipedema thing because it must be that. So I did. That was when I came across Dr. Sue. He's the guy who I actually found years ago when I was in my early 20s Googling how to get rid of cankles. Back then I was like, oh, way out of my price range. But now I'm in a position where I could potentially afford this, so let's put in an application. So I contacted them. I watched lots of videos, I did lots of research on lipedema, and I messaged Dr. Sue. Did an online consultation, got a quote, which was a lot of money. I will tell you how much my surgery cost. I had to have two. One on my lower legs from the knees down to the ankles, and then one on the thighs. 8 weeks apart. I booked myself in for these two surgeries and they cost $19.5 thousand each. So that's $39,000, which is a lot of money. My husband, he's, let's say, careful with what he spends than I am. So I thought he was gonna be like, no way. But thankfully, because he knows about how I felt about my legs and because he's a lovely supportive husband, he was all in. He said, you do what you've got to do. I support you. And I was so grateful for that. It meant a lot because $39,000, which is roughly £30,000, that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. And I thought he was just gonna be like, no way. But he's a good man. So we booked it. We decided that because it was two surgeries 8 weeks apart, why not just stay in Tampa for 2 months? So that's what we did. We booked an Airbnb for 2 months. We booked the surgeries and off we went. Me and hubby flew to Tampa. Dr. Sue's method. He removes a lot more fat than most surgeons. He specializes in lipedema. He knows lots about it. Most of his patients are lipedema patients. So his method is a lot. basically, because he's like removing so much fat, he's kind of sculpting you, especially around the ankles, the knees. In order to make sure he gives you the best results, you have to be awake throughout the whole thing. It was brutal. Well, I mean, it was brutal. It was brutal. They said it wouldn't hurt. They said I'd feel something, but yeah, it was fucking awful. Anyway, I did it because I'm vain. They put in painkillers, so I went in and had my knees down to my ankles done first. So the reason he does it while you're awake is so that you can flex your muscles while he's doing it. Because if you're asleep, your muscles are going to be soft. Apparently, for a surgeon, it's very hard to tell the difference between muscle and fat when they're sucking it out. I was there in the surgery, like tensing my muscles while he's like sucking all the fat around them. So that's why you have to be awake. He can sculpt around your muscles. I think I've explained that, okay? He's very good at what he does anyway, and very experienced. It's his specialty. I've trusted him. He really seems to know what he's talking about. He's been specialising in lipedema for a long time. I never thought I would actually meet him in person and have him perform surgery for me. Like I said, it was just something that I thought would never happen for me, and it makes me feel so grateful to be in a position now where I make enough money that I can do that. Taking a moment to feel the gratitude. Thank you, universe. He's on YouTube. You can watch his videos. I'll link him in the description. He's on Instagram as well. Check him out. I would recommend him, absolutely. We were in the hospital, I think 2 days after we arrived. We turned up at like 7 in the morning. I met a lovely lady called Tara who got me all ready for the surgery. Hubby waited in the waiting room. Really beautiful waiting room with all these gorgeous crystals everywhere. It was lovely. Tara got me all washed up, told me what was going to happen. She even got me doing some breathing exercises because she took my pulse rate, and she could tell I was like nervous and just trying to like ground me. It was weird because I kind of knew what was coming, but I didn't as well, and I knew I was about to lay there and be wide awake whilst having liposuction, which is a lot. So I was crapping my pants, just a teeny bit, a lot. But she was great, shout out to Tara. And then I met Dr. Sue. He came in, had a look, had a chat about what kind of results I wanted, drew on me, as they do, and then we got stuck in. What I loved about Dr. Sue is that surgeons are so funny, aren't they? All the surgeons I've ever met, they're all like proper characters. What is it about surgeons? He had to have classic rock music playing, which is fine by me, I love that. So they started off by injecting pain-killing stuff. I think they put like fluid in at the same time as well. And after that was done, the liposuction commenced. He told me this is going to be like a workout, and I was like, okay. There was a lot of flexing. They had to keep telling me like flex, like keep your muscles tight, while he was working around them. When he'd done the first leg, he asked me if I wanted to see it. So I sat up. I'll never forget this. I sat up and I looked down at my leg for the first time. The difference, oh, I can't believe I'm crying. The difference was just ridiculous. I'd never been that bothered about my knees before. Like I kind of had, but I'd been bothered about my whole legs. But I'd never really been focused on my knees. But he defined my knees, and it was like, wow. And my ankle, I had an ankle and a calf muscle. All the years that I'd spent in the gym trying to get that muscle definition, and it was always covered up. I had the muscle, but you couldn't see it because it was covered with this layer of sponge. It looked like someone else's leg. He got me to stand up and look in the mirror, and I just burst into tears. That was a really, really significant moment in my life. I wish I had recorded it on video. I didn't get a video. I didn't even get a picture. I wish I'd taken a picture of my 2 legs after one had been done. don't know why I didn't, and I hate that I didn't. They asked me if I wanted my husband to come and have a look, so I said yeah. They went and got him from the waiting room. He walked in, he looked at the difference between my two legs, and he started crying, and I was crying. Yeah, wow. Just all these years of hating what I saw when I looked down. And then I looked down and I saw what I always thought my legs should look like. Oh, it was amazing. So then we kicked my husband out and carried on with the other leg. By this point I was exhausted, but we had to keep going. We got through it. It was hard. It was really hard. It was painful. I couldn't wait for it to end. I was breathing through it like, oh, you know when a woman is in labor and they say breathe? I was breathing like that. I think I was doing that just as kind of like meditate and get through it, like just ground myself. But I was like throughout the whole thing. And eventually it was done. It was done. I had also booked for, so part of what I forgot to mention this earlier. I'd also paid for a skin tightening treatment. I can't remember what it's called, but it was meant to tighten up loose skin. I guess a lot of people, when they have liposuction, there's going to be loose skin, obviously. But by the time we were finished, he said he didn't think I actually needed it. The loose skin wasn't too bad. I agreed it wasn't that bad at all, so we decided not to do that. So I did actually get some money back for that. I got £1,000 back for that. I got £2,000 because I didn't need it for the second surgery either. So actually I paid $37,000, not $39,000. They wrapped me up. They gave me some Gatorade, lots of Gatorade, lots of snacks. I did get a bit lightheaded. I think it was just like the anxiety, and it was very overwhelming. The whole thing was quite overwhelming, and after it was done I had to lie down for a minute because I started getting really dizzy. But once that passed I was fine. Hobbled out to the car. We booked an Uber. We were staying about 30 minutes away from the clinic, and we went back to our Airbnb. We set me up on the sofa with lots of protective stuff to make sure I didn't bleed and get juice fluid all over the furniture. Dr. Sue doesn't use drains. He just, because the incisions are so tiny, he just leaves them open. They drain themselves through the little incisions before they heal. So there was some fluid to come out. So I just had to just sit there and just wait to heal. I was told to not sit around too much, like keep moving, which is pretty much the same I think for most surgeries. You want to make sure you keep the blood moving. They told me that when the lidocaine wore off that it would hurt, and they were right. That was spicy. Oh, that was stingy. I took the painkillers. What did they give me? I can't remember anything. My brain. Oh my God. What have I done to my brain? And that helped. The painkillers were decent. And it was just a matter of healing. 8 weeks until the next surgery. I spent 4 weeks recovering, and then of course while I was in America I had to meet some American content creators and made a bit of content. Obviously we were busy, we had lots to keep us occupied while I waited for the next surgery. Spent a few days with the XXX Slayer. He was a lot of fun, lovely guy. I hope to meet him again sometime and shoot with him because we made some great stuff. Yeah, we just explored Tampa a little bit. I had my birthday. I wanted to go to Weeki Wachee where they have the mermaid shows. It was great, but there was no mermaid show. It got cancelled because there was a baby alligator in the water and they wouldn't go in there. We still went there and had a look around, and there were peacocks. We went on a little boat ride. What else did we do? We didn't really do a lot of sightseeing or anything. We didn't even go to the beach, although it would have been a bit tricky going to the beach with my legs. We just made content. After the 4-week mark, when my legs were a bit better, we just made content pretty much. Shopping. We did lots of shopping. Yeah, just shopping and eating. Lots of eating. I loved my time in Tampa. It was nice to be somewhere else for a couple of months. That was cool. Living somewhere different. I liked the people. So I could see myself living there. I loved it. 8 weeks later, it was time for my second surgery. So by this time, I was really scared because I knew how bad it was the first time. I really, 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 really don't want to do it again. I was very anxious about it. Tara told me that the second one might actually hurt more, and I was like, but maybe I'm stupid, I don't know, but I do these things. Even if it scares me, I just do it anyway, because you've got to, haven't you? I hate living with regret. There's lots of things I regret. I'm not going to be one of those people that says regret nothing, because I think that's bollocks. Everyone regrets something. And there have been lots of times in my life where I haven't done something that scared me, and I spent the rest of my life wishing I'd done it. Now I try and make myself do these things. I did it, I got there, and we did my thighs. So I was pleasantly relieved and surprised that it didn't hurt as much as the first time. It was still tough. It was nowhere near as bad, and it was a lot quicker as well, which was great. Same process, lots of tensing up the muscles and lots of sucking out the fat, basically. I did tell him I didn't want to lose much from my thighs. I wanted to keep my thighs as thick as possible. I really wanted to get rid of the contours on the sides because they were just really upsetting. Just make them a little bit of a better shape, and the old banana rolls. So that's what we did. These pictures were taken during the second surgery. As you can see, one of my thighs has been done. See what they look like compared to each other. I was so pleased with the results. I just wish I'd taken a picture like this for the first surgery. Same thing, I was sent home to recover. The first night was fucking painful as fuck, and then it got better a week or 2 weeks after the second surgery that we went home. I think it was 2 weeks, because 2 weeks is when you're the most swollen, and then after the 2-week mark the swelling starts to go down. We were travelling whilst I was at the most swollen of, so that was fun. But it was a relief to get home. I missed all my family hugely. I missed the UK as well. I missed the food in the UK and just missed the familiarity, I think. So it was nice to come home. I was feeling quite homesick while I was away. That's pretty much it. So now all I really have to talk about is the results. This definition here, these ankles, you can still see the marks. I have quite a lot of little scars. They'll fade with time. It's actually only been just over 6 months since the surgery. But this definition, I didn't have that before. I didn't have ankles. My knees, I love my knees now. Look, you can see my quads popping out there. Didn't have that before. I'll share some pictures. Pictures. It was just like, just the feeling of being able to wear clothes that I couldn't wear before, and pairs of jeans that I've had in my wardrobe for years because I love them, but they were too tight, but I didn't want to throw them away because I love them, but they never would have fit me, ever. I can now wear them. It's not a big thing, but it is big to me. It just feels so good. When I'm wearing my gym leggings, I used to walk around the gym feeling ashamed of myself because of my legs. Just thinking, like, convincing myself that everyone must be looking at me thinking, why are her legs like that? Maybe she's like not training right, or and obviously when you're wearing leggings it kind of highlights it, like you can see everything. Now when I wear leggings I feel so much pride. My husband noticed that I walk differently. I just feel good, like trying on clothes. I just feel good. I just love it. I feel like I have the legs I was supposed to have. With clothes on, the legs are great. With clothes off, still a few little things. I didn't go into this thinking I would have perfect legs. I knew they weren't going to be perfect. They're 70% better, but there's still some things I'm still not comfortable with. Where the banana rolls were, there's a bit of loose skin. Hoping that if I get back in the gym and start building up more muscle, because I've lost a bit of weight recently and I've lost a lot of muscle because I haven't been doing weight training, but I'm now starting that again. So once I've built back some muscle, I'm hoping that will fill it out. I've just spent $37,000 getting my legs made thinner, and now I'm going to go to the gym to make my legs thicker. What is wrong with me? There is a little bit of loose skin above my knees, but I'm not too worried about that. The scar on the side, it was on both sides, but mainly on this side, that's like gone. One thing I kind of regret, but I think it had to happen to get rid of the scar, was that there was just a small amount of fat taken from the sides of my thighs, here and here. But it had to happen, I think, to get rid of this scar here. And it has taken away my hourglass shape somewhat. It's taken away my shape a little bit. I feel a little bit angular. I'm okay with it because I've got my dream legs, and I think that had to happen to get rid of this scar. If it weren't for that scar, I probably would have left my thighs completely, I think. No, because I wanted the banana rolls gone. It had to happen, but I'm okay with it. I would advise anyone who's thinking about having liposuction on their thighs, think carefully before you get any fat taken off the side of your thighs, because your thighs is what gives you your curves. So bear that in mind. They are structural. Banana rolls are also structural. They hold up your butt cheeks. So now my butt cheeks kind of hang a bit lower, which makes my butt look a little bit saggier than it did, because the banana rolls held up the butt cheeks. They are structural. Again, I'm hoping once I start doing those hip thrusts in the gym, I'll puff my butt up a little bit. So yeah, I mean, those are the only few little things that I'm not completely happy with, but they're minor. They are minor compared to how good I feel just in day-to-day life. And it's not to do with my job. Like, I still feel the need to wear stockings when I work. Maybe one day I will get to a point where I feel comfortable with bare legs. I don't know, we'll see, but that's fine. I love stockings anyway, so it's cool. But just general day-to-day clothes, just normal, just wearing a pair of jeans, wearing a skirt. I can do that now. I don't feel shitty about myself. I can just wear the clothes that I always wanted to wear. Shoes with ankle straps, boots. Any boots I try on now just zip straight up straight away. My legs just feel lighter, more comfortable. Before, they were so heavy. Another symptom of lipedema is bruising. People with lipedema bruise really easily. I was always covered in bruises all the time. And my legs were quite tender as well. That's another symptom of lipedema, is tenderness. And I don't have that now. I just feel... I'm just so chuffed. I'm just so chuffed. Best surgery I've ever had. I've had a few. I've had 2 boob jobs and the liposuction in Turkey that I told you about in the BBL. I think that's it for cosmetic surgery. But yeah, best surgery I've ever done. Yeah, I'm very pleased. I'm really glad I did it. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button for me, please. Thank you. And subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you've enjoyed me waffling on. Like, God, I don't even know how long I've been sitting here talking. Enjoy! Anyway, thank you so much. See you next week.